eventually let go. If that hadn't happened, I tell you, today, talking about Doink, very different. Number 1, Daniel Bryan, that's AJ Styles. So, who wants some hyperbole? Sometimes I do think to myself, when Styles and Bryan clash Apple's cases, they were able to produce one of the best work matches in WWE. It didn't come as a huge surprise because they did do exactly what we wished they would. But it's so well put together that it soon becomes a wonderful game of chess. Two technicians picking each other apart and trying to set the ultimate trap. It's amazing. They're then reversing the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. Surprise roll up like it's nothing. It's just smoother than my head. Yes, because you can't see me, I'm old. Yes, man also had become the planet's WWE champion here, which was such a good character. How we all need to deal with the phenomenal one. Such a likeable baby face, so you have that. It's yet another window into how to make wrestling look as realistic as possible. And we just don't rave about this. Once again, I'm going to call it a work of art. That's right, I said it again. Not many other incredible WWE moments that nobody ever talks about. Please let us know in the comments below.
And the defense is lucky that play only picked up 5 yards.
This is a little
Give him 4 yards there. And now that sets up third.
Today, we're going to look at every single major artist's least streamed song. Is it fair to say that somebody's, a famous artist, that their least streamed song is their worst song?
Oh, it's a fair assessment, but it's not a fair indicator that that's the worst song.
Here we go.
Stressing, and I ain't perfect, but I work hard, so I deserve it. That's why I need to work hard. Gotta have some
Right away.
one more time.
Unstoppable is not even close to his worst song. I actually like
That's a
Unstoppable.
good song.
It's crazy it took until 2016 to go number 1.
That's crazy.
That's easy. That's too easy. That could be his worst song. That shit is awful.
Hold up, is that the little Mario dude from the day?
Like, man, I don't give a shit about that. I can already tell. Run that bar back. Crazy with that. That shit Mario crazy. With Kendrick and shit.
Lottie Dottie Down was way better than. You know what? But after the third time, it's kind of hard. As soon as the beat drop, we got the streets locked overseas. Johnny MC in the rock. Can't even see the mop. So hard as shit where you need to go be here. Don't know how to see here. Tony Records. You still wanna grab? You don't wanna get the shit beat out of you too. You got me, you will. Yeah, got me a pen, grab me. After all these years, all the music he put out, and the lowest song is 2.2.
That's what I was saying about the Drake shit. Like 11 million.
11 is insane.
It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, this sounds like standard Eminem. You don't want to get the shit beat out of you too. You got me, you will. Yeah, got me a pen, grab me.
It just took him doing this like 30 gajillion times to get yourself, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, in terms of like the delivery, I see.
I guess you
I mean, obviously it's like better to be way better than exact shit. This sounds like you recorded this like on an iPad. That's crazy. 293 million streams is really low, but you know he pops.
Is that really low? For his biggest song. Yeah, I mean,
For like one of the top, like 293 is so low.
he be having song. So like, what are they making these streams, bro?
If you're a sense that damn baby, I can't fuck with you. If I'm drunk on well, get the hot bar. Just fucking on your bitch, yeah, that's not.
I'm not gonna lie though, that bougie,
A lot of people.
it didn't age that well. Maybe it was just overplayed. Obviously, at the
If you
time,
play right now, I'm gonna let go farm. I'm gonna let go farm.
that lead string song was terrible.
Oh yeah, it didn't even resonate with me.
Like you ever get life, like you ever get right, blood like a black sheep, back down, backing up the years like a bat. I remember service, I was just in my analysis, but this a nigga with some jealous.
Yeah, not his best.
What's up on the niggas? 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 22 million is his lowest streak.
That defense got downhill in a hurry.
Cardi's that guy.
Just a couple
Shit.
on first down.
Ain't not that.
My goal.
New York, I been there off course. I didn't have my socks running from a out, and I shoot at off.
Like, I wouldn't have
Like you came out of mouth, all the shots, all the more like centipede. They came to day, like.
I don't care, bro. Like, when I'm about to get some nah, he's that guy, bro.
He can't do no wrong. That's all the
Way down to about the 7. It's a gain of a yard, and it'll set up.
Hi, guys.
And just what do you think you're doing here?
I thought you invited me.
Oh, not you, Bruce. You're fine.
Sounded actually horrible. Wait. I think we found a contender that justifies my title and thumbnail. I think I need to hear more of that. I ain't gonna lie, this ain't it. I can't say I've listened to his entire catalog, but from what I've heard, this is the worst song I've ever heard.
So they think I wanna die, yeah, 'cause my nose is suicide,
You know what I bias used to be? Topanga, bro. That song is crazy. I can take you to Topanga. You smack on that,
Yeah. You couldn't get away from it. Denzel's got so many better songs now. It's like string-wise.
Oh, he ain't staying.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. YouTube comments are gonna cook me for this. I don't. He doesn't really make a bad song. Like every time I listen to his music, I'm like, this is good. But Ultimate is the one song where I'm just like,
that they don't have to punt the ball like they did.
See the field again, so
That's not the same. Somebody want eyes on.
bro, that's 20 Savage. Oh, it sounds like speaker knocking.
Bro, they don't even sound like him.
Man, nothing like the 2011 to 2014 trap sound that just sounded like, dude, it was such a crazy sound. It's like,
The beats were almost like borderline corny, but it's like, that shit worked. It fit the time.
the hi-hats were loud,
Yeah.
the bass was clipping.
They would say the most random shit, but it was hit. Just figure that out.
What a difference.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10.
It sounded like the beat was in the other room.
It did like that reverb. I like how that
It's a first down.
like be hot, stay on side on side, hold on, beat up, slap, yeah.
Alright, we both love Future. Future can do no wrong. We both like Easy. What about the tape?
it really did come out of the blue. So it's like,
Big.
I'm not gonna say that.
Some might even say
To be found whatsoever.
ass.
I don't think it was none of them. I think it was hidden. I just think like it was real cookie cutter. Like it was just, all right, we in the studio, back and forth, back and forth. All right, we come out with 50 songs, let's choose 15 of them, and released this bitch before popping.
Which sucks. That sucks.
Yeah. No.
Like, that is a great example of why I could not care less when they announced a collab album.
You heard Drake and Lil Baby about to come out with something.
And I'm expecting, like, well, Drake is a little different.
Oh, now it's a little different.
It's a little different. So Young Boy and the Baby collab album. Exactly. Yeah. Wait, like, what's better? It's all good. It's that guy. Mostly.
So what? I keep it rolled up, sagging my pants like Aaron, but I shot keep it real, but my niggas keep it playing for these hoes. Shit, I go in the way, smoking dope shit.
That's not Polo. That's not Polo Q. That's Polo Q, bro.
That's USPAG.
USPAG is fire.
So I do it sound like I'm kidding. I've been making lunches down to the minute. So high up to the clock.
His best.
My girl got that ass, she's Texas. She bouncing a bit down.
22 million is crazy high. Yeah.
Every time I need the high. Throw that to the side.
Fire. When it comes to Pop Smoke, like, he just didn't release enough.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I can't believe they don't just leave that to me.
yeah, it's fire.
Always run. So Lord, shoot.
Welcome to the party. Wait, right now. Wait. Bro, the beat was somewhere else. What you looking at?
What's crazy is I've heard that and I've played that song. Bro, what was this release?
117. That's way too.
I feel like I heard that song before.
Now, this gotta be something like a whole tape.
Hey, Tony.
Been a demon on guard. Looking like I'm still doing fraud. Flying private jet with the rod.
Even though she like to act hard, I took her to get the deep.
I don't got nothing to say to that. Because that took Monday. Look at the music video.
Even though she like to act hard, I took her to get the deep. 600K stream, yeah, sure. But, do you know how many people had to approve that for that to get released?
You see the end product, right?
Every Christmas, people are going to be bumping this, obviously. Black People's super fire. Great. Great. Shout out Ray. That's a freaky bar from Plus. So it's the same bar in his least streamed song.
This shit was gonna work. Somebody has that, but it hasn't stuck yet. I'm trying to think of the artist that does it, and he says it's one thing. He's like,
Logic and vibration.
oh, Lil TJ, it was Lil TJ. He be saying this thing, talking about like, she a virgin and it's her answer. I think he done said it about like 5 songs. Weird. I like it. Yeah.
That's not expected. I ain't gonna lie, your defense ain't nothing to stop. I should have had that when I did that fake field goal.
Again, streaming arrow and not that one. immaterial in the grand scheme of it all.
The Titans offense set to begin with the ball.
I think
We
it's
thought this game had the potential to
again,
be
the song I
maybe not this tight, scoreless as we start the third quarter.
That's such a good East Stream song.
You don't think it was good at?
Actually, if he listened to that, he'd be like,
Bro, what was that? That shit pissed me off. I knew that.
They're close.
Hey, yo, the avenue!
That's a ball he probably thinks he should have
still? Ain't no way. This is still his biggest song? I'm surprised it ain't. Oh, I guess I Spy, right? But that's Kyle's song.
A nigga that's up there shaking shine. All blocks when all stars align. Lightweight waste in my time. Switching gears is mine.
Freaking crazy.
So I'm getting to a time. Getting to the time. I'm taking the finish line. With a line, bringing my eyes. Just trying to get jumped up there. Welcome.
I'm trying.
Wait, so this is Old Town Road. Well, technically, if you combine Old Town Road together, that's the thing, it was technically separated. But both are released single time over the streets. Now, do you think that it's even more fair to say that an artist's least streamed song is their worst song?
I mean, in regards to this show,
What? No, wait, let's do yours. Let's do your least stream versus your most stream.
okay,
I can't just push these three niggas.
But technically, really streaming right now.
Oh, he in rapper too? That's
Again, it's Henry. And they'll work this down to the 15 for a pickup of 4.
Well, so far, this game has gone the way the defensive coordinator had hoped. They've dictated things, and they've not let them run the ball very well at all. I doubt it'll back off their confidence. They've played so well throughout this entire game.
They haven't made much of this great starting field position they had. Here's 3rd and 6. Now Tannehill.
The best way to book your stay in the USA. Booking.com. Booking.com.
Yeah.
If I could buy anything in the store, it would probably be the zero-turn lawnmower, the riding mower, but it turns pretty much on the dime. You can go around things a lot easier and quicker, and they're nice products. Tractor Supply for life out here.
Second down and goal.
Hi, actors have to present themselves to viewers in a certain way, whereby
whereby they conceal a specific truth about themselves, whether for the sake of the film itself or to vindicate their own precious fragile future. These 10 actors all sought to hide an obvious personal truth, perhaps a physical attribute or one of their own internal hang-ups, amid the smokescreen of cinema magic, results of which range from absolutely convincing to totally not. So with that in mind, I'm Ellie with What Culture here with 8 actors desperate to hide the truth in movies. Number 8. Florence Pugh was a decade older than her character in Little Women. Actors play characters younger or older than themselves all the time, and where a gap of a mere few years is concerned, it's almost never noticeable. But sometimes Hollywood takes the audience's suspension of disbelief to comical, credibility-sapping levels in this regard. And that's absolutely true of Florence Pugh's casting in Greta Gerwig's terrific adaptation of Little Women. Pugh plays Amy, the youngest of the March sisters, who at the start of the story is just 12 years old, despite Pugh herself being 22 years of age at the time of filming. While Pugh can certainly cast for a good few years younger than her actual age, an entire decade is a stretch at best. To make matters worse, an early scene where Amy is glimpsed at school causes the entire illusion to break down. With Pugh sat next to actual children while wearing braided hair, it's tough not to laugh at how unconvincingly she passes as a 12-year-old. Thankfully, Pugh's Oscar-nominated performance is brilliant enough that most appear to forgive this gap. In the very least, it becomes less of a problem as the movie progresses and Amy gets older. Number 7. Roger Moore's awkward run in all of his Bond movies. Actors can be insecure about many different things, but Roger Moore has an especially strange hang-up. He hated his own run. Across his 7-film tenure as James Bond, Moore insisted upon having a 40 double for any shots where 007 had to run because Moore was self-conscious about his apparently awful run. And so, almost any time you see Moore's Bond picking up significant speed on screen, know that you won't see Moore's face in the shot, because it isn't him performing speed. On one hand, it's not in any way noticeable unless you know about it beforehand, but on the other, it makes one wonder precisely what Moore's run actually looks like. Was he overstating the case, or did he go full-on Phoebe and Friends? Either way, it's tough to picture a modern era Bond actor getting away with such an odd request, especially given the greater physicality of the contemporary Bond. Number 6. Marlon Brando's weight in Apocalypse Now. The stories of Apocalypse Now's hellish production are legendary, and few can match the infamy of Marlon Brando's antics while playing the mythic Colonel Kurtz. When Brando arrived on the set to shoot his late film confrontation with Captain Willard, he was considerably overweight and in no way resembled the emaciated Kurtz from the novel. Beyond that, his condition meant that he would be unable to shoot the more physical aspects of his showdown with Willard as written in the script, with Brando reportedly embarrassed at his weight, director Francis Ford Coppola was forced to pivot. Coppola and Brando ultimately conspired to disguise the actor's size as much as possible, primarily shooting him in low light and shadow, focusing largely on his face, and even having a stand-in for body shots to make him look taller and more imposing. Even so, there's no mistaking Brando's heft in the final film. Yet, in the eyes of many, it actually ended up adding to Kurtz's characterization, presenting him as a man who has overindulged and let himself go amid his madness. Number 5. Blake Lively's pregnancy in The Shallows. It's in no way uncommon for actresses to fall pregnant while shooting a movie, forcing the filmmakers to find creative ways to hide it. For example, Gal Gadot was 5 months pregnant during Wonder Woman's reshoots, and so production placed a green cloth over her stomach, allowing them to digitally remove the baby bump later. But for 2016 survival film The Shallows, Blake Lively had nowhere to hide, given that she spent almost the entire movie wearing figure-hugging clothing while stranded on a rock. Basically, she was totally exposed for the vast majority of the movie's runtime, making it incredibly difficult for her to hide the fact that, for the film's reshoots, she was several months pregnant with a visible bump. Beyond simply shooting Lively at angles which concealed her pregnancy, she also had to dip the lower half of her body into the water and covered it with a surfboard for certain scenes. All in all, you'd never guess she was pregnant at all from watching the final film, so it's most certainly a job well done. Number 4. Gert Frober's full grasp of English in Goldfinger. Goldfinger's titular villain is perhaps the series' most iconic and beloved, played quite brilliantly by German actor Gert Frober. However, Frober couldn't speak much English at the time of shooting, and so the decision was made to have the actor speak his lines phonetically on set before they were redubbed in post-production by English actor Michael Collins. While dubbing Wrestling often draws attention to itself. This is a remarkable case and especially brilliant done, given that the overwhelming majority of viewers had no clue whatsoever that Froger wasn't delivering his own vocal performance. Though it's not unheard of for filmmakers to redub actors' voices after being dissatisfied with their work during shooting, at least in Froger's case, it was no surprise to him. This was agreed upon before shooting started, and he was always part of the process. Plus, Froger ended up dubbing himself in the German version of Goldfinger, ensuring he did ultimately get to give a full
pocket of the officials turns into an incompletion, and that should be
Homescapes all my own. It's fun. Have you tried playing it?
I haven't.
It's so fun. Oh, Austin's there! Austin's there, I
he did ultimately get to give a full performance as the character. Number 3, Natalie Wood's childhood wrist injury in most of her movies. Here's something you probably never stop to consider. Why did the late Natalie Wood almost always wear something on her left wrist while shooting movies? As it turns out, a 9-year-old Wood suffered a serious wrist injury while shooting the 1948 drama The Green Promise. When a collapsing bridge stunt went wrong and she ended up breaking her wrist. Furthermore, the bone wasn't set correctly, allegedly due to Wood's mother not wanting her to visit a doctor for fear of her losing control, resulting in it healing in a way which caused the bone to protrude from her wrist. And so, for the rest of her tragically curtailed life and career, Wood wore bracelets and gloves to cover her wrist on film shoots, with one of the few notable exceptions being the iconic bathtub scene from 1961's Splendor in the Grass. Otherwise, go back through Wood's filmography and you'll see her left wrist regularly covered due to her apparent self-consciousness over the childhood injury. Number 2, Kevin Costner's receding hairline in Waterworld. Male pattern baldness is a concern for many actors, who perhaps fear that their viability as a handsome leading man might be affected by hair loss. An unfortunate reality in the deeply image-conscious bubble that is Hollywood. And ever since Kevin Costner's 1995 box office bomb Waterworld hit cinemas, there have been persistent reports that the star had a chunk of the film's stonking $175 million budget spent on digitally fixing his receding hairline. Though adding volume to an actor's hair isn't especially complicated as visual effects go, back in 1995 it was certainly more of a challenge than it would be today, and apparently spoke to Costner's own anxiety over his thinning head of hair. All the same, you'd never guess any digital trickery had been invoked from watching the end product. So in the very least, it's a completely convincing feat of invisible makeup, right? Number 1, Tom Cruise's real height in Vanilla Sky. Tom Cruise is living proof that a handsome face, intense commitment to his craft, and a charisma can ultimately overcome a short stature in the action hero stakes. Cruise's height is widely reported to be 5 feet 7 inches. That's 2 inches shorter than the average American man, and on paper a seemingly diminutive height for a man whose bread and butter is playing statuesque badasses. It's been alleged for years that Cruise has a complex about his height, and he even wears lifts in his shoes on set to make him look taller, especially when working opposite leggy actresses. There was something few are left compelled to think about while watching most of Cruise's movies. He did perhaps unintentionally draw attention to it in 2001's sci-fi thriller Vanilla Sky, during the sequence where his protagonist Jenny is arrested. On
For real, that nigga still there? What the fuck?
Air shy of 6 feet, around 4 inches taller than he is in real life. As such, we're led to assume that Cruise either stood on a full platform or the height chart was certain. Either way, Cruise was clearly trying to hide his real stature. To be clear though, few moviegoers could give much of a damn about Cruise's height, considering the fine work was done, with the exception of his attempt to play 6'5" Jack Reacher. And that means how I just simply do it.
He's Bond Sean Chicken.
That's why you then end up getting like subscribe and turn that notification.
Yeah.
Also head over to Twitter and follow us there, and my account was very
Right. They got the sauce, they got the glaze on it. The sauce glaze.
I say get a drum, you're gonna get the best crunchy links.
You heard me. Double fried. You heard me.
History of WWE. There have been some matches that are defined by WWE as the most popular wrestling company in the world. Iconic matches such as Ricky Steamboat versus Macho Man Randy Savage from WrestleMania and Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker from WrestleMania 5 just
yeah, you sure with it.
acclaimed matches in WWE history. Unfortunately, there have been those matches which make fans
Facts. They help put that bitch together. Oh yeah, good fumble.
I think they got a new GM. looked like the,
I ain't
it
got
kind of did, but it might not have been the same person.
nigga. Henry Cow.
Join us now as we look at one of the biggest videos yet. As we look at them
It was Thomas, like, you trying to get your old job back? No.
No.
I'm good.
No.
Y'all ain't making no money in here.
I can't afford me no more. No, pay me.
Be sure to subscribe and hit
Oh
that
yeah, he told me to tell you to call him. He said call him.
Follow us on Facebook for exclusive videos. Also check out our new channel,
Why would I do that?
WrestleMania Shorts.
Oh no.
Oh shit, I think I owe you money.
Versus the WrestleMania 2021.
That's why I fuck you. Yeah, I think I owe you like $40 or something. Whole time, that's crazy. I'm gonna call that nigga too. Yeah, cause I ain't one of them people, yo.
The Zombies match was because WWE was cross-promoting Army of the Dead. They did this to promote the movie in a positive manner. The match was comical at best, and it featured the Miz and John Morrison being eaten alive by zombies in one of the most unusual visuals you've ever seen on WWE pay-per-view.
And
Luckily for
the little
WWE,
fat
the
Mexican
match
girls
took
still
place
was
in the
there too.
Thunderdome.
Not Mexican, sorry.
The young one.
I didn't see that.
The daughter.
Been interesting to say the least. Number 49, James Snake Roberts versus Andre
Yeah,
the
we really
Giant
did
at
some
WrestleMania
Walmart
5.
got some
After the Giant stepped into the ring with James Snake Roberts at WrestleMania 5, Snake was on the decline. He was having great
I didn't know it was
difficulty
going
with the ring. Roberts tried his best to get a good match out of Andre, but it was a complete
It's just like an automatic once you get there.
And I went to fight with the Love, got mad candy for no reason.
Completely irresponsible and for the reason
I didn't say we need to go to
the match was ended in a DQ victory for
Walmart,
Roberts.
we just went.
Andre decided to attack the guest referee, Big John Stern.
Yeah,
Also, which
and
would
me.
give this match a minus 3-star rating.
That's what we mean, right?
How lackluster the match
I don't know
was.
French.
Number 48, Scott Steiner versus Triple H.
Yeah,
Come on, now while I'm playing. That's crazy. That's crazy.
WWE in 2002.
that's for making me lose my bird and they lower.
That's madness.
Steiner would wrestle Triple H.
I don't know how y'all trolling him like it's not burning up.
The match was hot
Up there. I'm sorry, but
You way more than me. I'm skinny. Both of y'all high. I'm skinny.
The match featured numerous botches and the crowd were actively
You got so lucky, bro.
it's hot down there.
despite winning by DQ. Steiner's time in the main event in WWE was slowly coming to an end.
Cut it up.
And the rematch between the two
You cut my side out.
No, I just ripped it out. Yeah, I was gonna lift the whole thing up, but she stopped.
47, Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon, WrestleMania 26.
Yeah, niggas that little
WWE TV in 2010. This match with Vince
I mean, you're gonna have to take it up eventually, but you know, for now.
Although it was obvious that Hart was now landed in the ring, and the way WWE booked the match
And you know what
was
that's going
insanely
to do? It's
disappointing.
going to go into again.
Part of McMahon's no-holds-barred match was also a lumberjack match between members of the Hart family as lumberjacks.
That's what
The
we trying to
match was a
avoid.
convoluted bore, as WWE
So that, you know, as long as it's not on your side, I mean, it's on the other
solid action. Honestly, McMahon tap out to the shot.
Damn, if he was a better quarterback.
WrestleMania 20. It was a tough fight heading into Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg at WrestleMania 20. However, when it leaked online that both men were leaving WWE following Mania, the Madison Square Garden fans immediately turned on
the lady on there
both
across the way,
men.
they said
Both men throughout the match,
I'm not a slot, but they
world
were
champions
that time
and focus. The match featured excessive stalling, and let's face it, the crowd were mainly interested in the tactics of the referee Stone Cold Steve Austin. Ultimately, Goldberg was one of the most vital matches in the world of aggression era. Number 45, Royal Rumble 2015. The Royal Rumble seemed so bad. The WWE's idea was to present Reigns as the next big thing, but due to terrible booking decisions in the match, the crowd completely turned on him. They booked the match so fan favorites such as Daniel Bryan and Dean Ambrose were disposable and King of the Show as top stars in the match, despite them being stars of yesteryear.
I mean,
Even The Rock appearing at the end of the match wasn't enough to save it.
I can put it in one of the trash cans from the black ones.
Of all time. Number 44, Big Swaggle versus Boogeyman at No Way Out 2007. Now around 2007,
I got
just
Spider-Man.
$10 million against
I got
the
some
sinister
basketball
duo of the
stuff.
Boogeyman
I ain't got
and
no
his
stuff
for herself,
around. I need some
known as Little Boogeyman.
You got some Miles Morales or Peter Parker?
They weren't in place on the preview.
It was, I think
Comedy
it
of
was
this play
like,
wasn't popular with fans and fiction. Finley used the traditional
I don't know which one is under the
Boogeyman to
mask.
take over the WWE match that nobody really asked for. Number 43, Randy
Oh my
versus
God,
Jimmy
bro! It's just
Hart
the
back around 2017.
what's the name button, bro?
Just how disliked Jimmy Mahal
I'm losing to this nigga. I'm basically losing to this nigga now, bro.
Mahal went from job at a main eventer, but Mahal didn't have the credentials or the skills
It's the,
to
center
thrive in this
button.
illustrious role. Mahal had some lackluster matches as champion, and his WWE Cruiser match with Randy Orton at the Battleground pay-per-view.
Always fun. It takes like very juice. It's like, it's getting juicy.
Randy Orton at the Battleground pay-per-view was arguably his very worst. The two would wrestle a generic match for what seemed like an eternity, and the match engaged in and generated excitement. The finish of the match came with a surprise that the Great Khali and Randy Orton returned, which in turn allowed Mahal to escape the structure and retain his title. Number 42, Ivory versus the Fabulous Moolah versus 1999. In 1999, WWE decided to make the Fabulous Moolah an active wrestler, noting she was pushing into her late 70s at the time. Moolah would appear in a number of storylines throughout 1999, and she was even joined by Mae Young. The issue was that Moolah's matches were a laughing stock, and it was so bad that Jerry Lawler on commentary would notoriously cry with laughter. But one of the worst took place at the 99 No Mercy pay-per-view as Moolah challenged Ivory for the women's title. Although the match was only 3 minutes, it was a truly painful 3 minutes to watch, as an elderly Moolah could barely perform a spot. The crazy thing was that WWE decided to give Moolah the victory and the women's title, and she would roll up Ivory for the victory. WWE was thinking. Number 41, Team Ivory versus Team Moolah, Survivor Series 1999. Speaking of the Fabulous Moolah's 1999 run, it didn't stop there, as a pay-per-view match in the Survivor Series was even worse than a No Mercy disaster.
Yeah, that's a good game defensively.
Mae Young, Deborah, and Tori to take on the team of Ivory, Jackie, Moolah, and Terry Ruggles. WWE evidently had no faith in the women in the match, as it lasted under 2 minutes in length. The in-ring action on display wasn't pleasant, and it greatly exposed WWE's women's division. The finish came when Moolah performed a terrible-looking splash on Ivory to once again pin one of the WWE's most credible and talented female performers. Number 40, The Miz vs. Snoop Dogg on WrestleMania 39. One of the approaching matches of WrestleMania 39 saw The Miz take on Shane McMahon. Sadly, McMahon tore his quad within seconds of returning, and this forced WWE to improvise and deliver a match between Miz and WrestleMania host Snoop Dogg. The Godfather would clutch the Miz twice before delivering a dreadful-looking people's elbow to the Miz. It was a total debacle, but credit should be offered to the Miz and Snoop Dogg for their solid improvisation skills. Number 39, Brock Lesnar vs. Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 34. WrestleMania 34 was main evented by Brock Lesnar vs. Roman Reigns for the Universal title. This match went down as one of the most detested WrestleMania events ever, as fans had no interest in the match, and they had no desire to see a babyface Reigns on top. The fans would heckle the match with negative chants, would even chant for other wrestlers who were even in the match.
If one of us would have made the point after we'd have won.
Backing up on the SmackDown game, as Lesnar pinned Reigns to retain. But it was knew that the match wasn't well received, and following the match, Lesnar threw his title belt at Vince McMahon in one of the most infamous backstage incidents in WWE history. Number 38, The Royal Family vs. Clowns R Us, Survivor Series 1994. The 94 Survivor Series featured one of the worst traditional Survivor Series matches of all time. Jerry the King Lawler and a team of Royal Midgets would take on Dwayne the Clown and his team of Midget Clowns. This match was everything that was wrong with WWE in the mid-90s, as Vince McMahon genuinely believed that this is what the fan base wanted to see. It lasted for a lifetime, coming in at 6.
No, why the fuck did you fuck with me, bro? I hate that.
The crowd obviously became disinterested and had no desire to emotionally invest in WWE's idea of competing wrestling. Lawler's team managed to get the win with all of his team surviving the match. This was a showcase of how not to deliver a traditional Survivor Series match. It was utterly appalling. Number 37, The Brothers of Destruction vs. DX, Crown Jewel 2018. Shawn Michaels made a very bold but silly decision in 2018. He agreed to come out of retirement for one final match in Saudi Arabia at the Crown Jewel event. HBK would team with Triple H to take on Kane and The Undertaker, and the match was so bad that HBK has since distanced himself from the match entirely. Let's face it, this match was four men way past their prime, trying to relive their golden years. It wasn't a smart idea, as there were so many botches in the match that Triple H even came out with a match with a serious injury. Now okay, HBK was offered a considerable amount of money to take part in the match, so his reasons for agreeing to wrestle again were purely financial. Did the poor quality of the match itself alter HBK's legacy? Well, not really, but it did impact the compelling story WWE had told with HBK's initial retirement back in 2010. Number 36, Booker T vs. Buck Bagwell, or July 2nd, 2001. When WWE purchased WCW in 2001, the initial plans were to see WWE bring back WCW as its own entity. The pilot for this concept
they probably in there, so I can't look for them right now. I got 3 minutes left.
Intended to be a WCW-centered show. The main event saw Booker T take on Bob Bagwell, and the match stunk so bad that Vince McMahon scrapped any plans for a WCW revival. The fans in attendance just wanted to see WWE stars. Fans hadn't paid money to see WCW, so it was a short-sighted move on the part of McMahon. In relation to Bob Bagwell, this match shattered his reputation, and he would be released from WWE shortly after. However, for Booker T, he worked his way up to the top of WWE and is considered one of the greatest performers of all time. The Hall of Famer would discuss the impact of the match during an appearance on the Not Sam podcast, and listen to what he had to say. I knew that was a bad night when it was over. I knew it wasn't our greatest moment. We got pulled into the office immediately, and we told him it wasn't our best night. I said, put me in the ring with anybody. The smell will go away real quick. And to be fair to Booker, it did. Number 35, The Undertaker vs. The Dudley Boys, the Great American Bash 2004. WWE had some lackluster pay-per-view events in 2004, but the Great American Bash was arguably their very worst. Hardly any of the matches on the pay-per-view card delivered, and the main event was a confusing mess. It saw The Undertaker take on the Dudley Boys in a handicap concrete creep match. Yeah, that match has never returned, thankfully. And they had an added stipulation that if The Undertaker didn't forfeit the match and purposely lose, or better it would. It's real mayonnaise. Every dollop is so rich and creamy. It makes anything delicious. Irresistible. Hell, this mayonnaise.
Good game, bro. Yeah, that was
Undertaker eventually won a 17-minute match, which was completely lifeless as the crowd just didn't understand the stipulation, and the in-ring action wasn't as WWE main event. In one of the most baffling, illogical moves WWE have ever delivered, they decided to have the dead man pull a lever to release cement like Paul Bearer. They seemingly killed off the dead man's longtime manager and friend. The match was an undeniable failure, and it did remotely warrant the main event slot. Number 34, Hornswoggle vs. the Soaring Eagle, SmackDown, December 10th, 2010. In late 2010, WWE decided to book a TV feud between Hornswoggle and Jack Swagger's Soaring Eagle. This mind-numbing feud culminated in one of the worst matches of 2010, and it took place on SmackDown. The match featured spots such as Hornswoggle throwing bird seeds at the eagle, and Hornswoggle putting seasoning on the eagle's foot. He managed to get the win, putting an end to a few minutes of complete misery. Number 33, Brothers of Destruction vs. Chronic, Unforgiven 2001. The team was instrumental in bringing Chronic into WWE in 2001. The Dead Man had a thriving friendship with Bryan Adams, and this led to Vince McMahon agreeing to bring the former WCW team into the company for a run. Taker would team with his demonic half-brother Kane to defend the WCW tag titles against Chronic at the Unforgiven pay-per-view in 2001. The match was so
no. You go leave all the way out and go to your home screen first.
Incredibly frustrating and embarrassing for Taker as he vouched for Chronic and he had let it down in a major pay-per-view showcase.
First go all the way over to the options menu.
One WWE title match in '95 was so bad that Vince McMahon threw down his headset after the match.
Yeah, you go all the way to the. It's like a little gear.
The Ego House 4 event was headlined by the British Bulldog challenging Diesel for the WWE title.
You see where it say game options?
It's the most lifeless, boring, and uninspiring
click on that.
main event WWE had ever delivered.
Now go down to where it say coin toss first choice and put that on.
Number 31, Rick Rude versus Jake the Snake Roberts, WrestleMania 4. Rick Rude and Jake the Snake Roberts are celebrated wrestlers, but their match at WrestleMania 4 wasn't at the level WWE fans expected of the two prolific performers. The two would wrestle in a 15-minute
you go to play, go to where it say play now.
And had zero substance or life.
No,
Jake Roberts would
where
later
it say
discuss how
play
the
now.
match was on his podcast. This is what he had to say.
Right, now go to where it say online, hey there.
WrestleMania 4 had the worst booking ever.
Then it's going to take you to a different menu.
Also, the Wrestling Observer Radio would have won the match.
And where it say now, go to where it say play a phone.
According to Meltzer, one of the most disastrous matches in all of WWE.
And then my name, you know, you gotta look through your friends and show up right there. Go to my name.
2018. The original plans for Crown Jewel 2018 were to see Roman Reigns defend the Universal title against Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman, but when Reigns was forced to relinquish his Universal title, the match became a standard 1v1. Instead of giving fans a world title-worthy pay-per-view match, they decided to book the match as if it was a Raw segment. And the match began with Baron Corbin attacking Strowman with the Universal title belt, and then Lesnar hitting several F5s to win the vacant title. This was utter laziness on the part of WWE. The social media reaction to this match was incredibly negative and ultimately completely justified. Number 29, The Great Khali vs. Kane at WrestleMania 23. The Great Khali has never been known for being a top-tier in-ring worker, and his match at WrestleMania 23 was a testament to this. Khali would collide with Kane in the single worst match on the acclaimed WrestleMania card. The two former world champions had zero chemistry whatsoever, and the match would barely be passable as a match on even SmackDown. Khali managed to get the win, which completely deflated the crowd, as they had no interest in seeing Khali come out with a W, especially on the grand stage of WrestleMania. Number 28, Vince McMahon vs. Pat McAfee, WrestleMania 38. Once Pat McAfee had defeated Austin Theory at WrestleMania 38, Vince McMahon shockingly challenged McAfee to an impromptu matchup. This was a sight to behold, and it would become McMahon's final match. Despite defeating Theory moments earlier, McAfee wasn't able to overcome McMahon. McMahon kicked a football at McAfee's face.
You remember that you bring the Smith with you? That Smith, they're trying to be stuff that Fluffy there.
McMahon had no business having a match on WrestleMania card at this stage of his career. Number 27, Taker vs. Big Boss Man at WrestleMania 15. WrestleMania 15 featured a truly underwhelming Hell in a Cell showdown between The Undertaker and Big Boss Man. The match was met with utter silence from the crowd as both men were in eerie heels, so they had no idea who they were supposed to be rooting for. Undertaker picked Big Boss Man after a strenuous, boring matchup. Instead, man alongside the Blue proceeded to place two noose around Boss Man's head and placed him along with a Hell in a Cell structure. This seemingly had killed off the Boss Man.
You ain't set your fucking shit up, bro. This shit won't over.
Of the year. Number 26, Eva Marie vs. Alexa Bliss, SummerSlam 2021. And Eva Marie had a reputation as an in-ring talent, and her second run in WWE was arguably even worse than her initial run. She would be given a push in the summer of 2021, and this culminated in the match at SummerSlam with the talented Alexa Bliss. The match featured Marie going through the motions, whilst Bliss was doing her best to try and get a decent match out of her. It was only 4 minutes in length, which was about 3 minutes too long, as Maria looked completely lost in the match. By the summer of 2021, WWE had gotten to a point in their history where matches such as Marie vs. Bliss didn't need to take place. Number 25, Brock Lesnar vs. Kofi Kingston at SmackDown October 4th, 2019. Kofi Kingston capturing the WWE title at WrestleMania 35 was a very special moment. However, when they announced that Kingston would be defending the title against Brock Lesnar on SmackDown's 20th anniversary show, everyone was expecting Kingston to lose. But we thought that Kingston would put up a fight. Nobody expected Kingston to be squashed in just 8 seconds.
No, you gotta change that.
It was a complete disservice to Kingston and his fan base, and the fact that WWE didn't believe Kingston deserved to be dethroned in a full-length match was was
Right, it
insanely
don't matter.
disappointing.
See, when you send it like that, it's
Brock
gonna go
Lesnar
off
versus
of with
Cain
your
Velasquez at Crown Jewel
the game option
2019.
setting on automatically
One of
by
the reasons
default.
why Brock Lesnar squashed Kofi
That's why
Kingston
you need.
so convincingly on the 20th anniversary edition of
No.
SmackDown, so
When
they
you
can
send
set
it,
up a match between Lesnar
when you
and
send something, it's gonna
Velasquez
go
for the
by
Crown
the
Jewel event.
default of the thing that you pick. That's why it don't matter if you pick kick or return on this screen. If you don't got it on that screen that I showed you, it don't matter. That's what they going by. I don't know why it's like that, but that's what it is. You gotta change it on there, not on the screen thing. It don't matter what you change on the screen.
They completely misjudged how Velasquez would be received, and the match itself was one of the most lackluster WWE title matches of all time.
See, now I get the ball first, right? So.
The Oddities versus Kai Tai SummerSlam 1998. SummerSlam 98 featured some stellar matches as Triple H versus The Rock in a ladder match and The Undertaker versus Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWE title. The pay-per-view also featured one of the most ridiculous matches to ever take place in the sacred grounds of Madison Square Garden. The Oddities would take on Kai and Tai in a handicap match, and the wrestling on offer was unbearably bad. Most of the wrestling on display was comedic, and one of the most infamous spots the match saw the Oddities retrieve Yamaguchi's sneaky trainer. The Oddities eventually got the win in a 10-minute encounter, but the match should have been relegated to the Sunday Night Heat. Number 22, The Undertaker vs. Giant Gonzalez. Throughout his iconic WWE career, Taker was given the tough task of getting a number of talents over that didn't have any in-ring skills, and one of these was Giant Gonzalez. The Deadman and Gonzalez would collide at WrestleMania 9 in easily the worst match of Undertaker's beloved WrestleMania streak. Gonzalez could do anything in the ring, which began to attempt to make the match work against a virtually immobile opponent. WWE were insistent on getting the truly awful wrestler over, and they wouldn't even allow Taker to get a pinfall victory. Instead, he got a DQ win. Taker would reflect on working with Gonzalez during an interview on the Roxanne podcast, and this is what he had to say. Oh my, that was the worst. Hideous. The whole thing took years off my career. I would be in much better shape now if I could have skipped that one program. As physically demanding as it was twice the mental strain because you got Brad's there, now Yoko is there. All these guys are going out there and having these great matches. Obviously you want to be mentioned in the same breath with those guys. It's just not possible. It was survival every night, just trying to figure out what he could do, and at that time, I didn't still a lot off the ground, but man, I was flopping and just trying to make chicken salad out of chicken crap. Number 21, Yokozuna vs. King Mabel in Your House 4. The WWE ambitiously decided to book Yokozuna vs. Mabel for In Your House 4. Mabel was notoriously terrible in the ring, whilst Yoko at this stage of his career unfortunately struggled to have a decent match unless he was wrestling an elite talent. The match itself was even worse than fans expected, as the two super heavyweights looked exhausted in just seconds. It looked like the two just didn't want to be there. WWE did the smart thing and kept the match short to just 5 minutes in length, so the match would end in a double countout, which left fans completely underwhelmed. Number 20, Diesel vs. King Mabel, SummerSlam 95. Speaking of King Mabel, 95 was a great year for him. Mabel had just won the 95 King of the Ring and would challenge Diesel for the WWE title at SummerSlam. This match was a clear sign that Mabel wasn't the main eventer, as Diesel worked endlessly in the match to try and get the crowd into the action. Mabel just wasn't at that level. He was arguably a danger to others in the ring. This was seen when Mabel recklessly had Diesel's back in the match, and his conduct in the pay-per-view main event was so bad and so careless that Vince McMahon had to be talked out of firing him. Number 19, John Cena vs. John Laurinaitis, Over the Limit 2012. Although the Over the Limit pay-per-view in 2012 featured a WWE title showdown between Punk and Daniel Bryan, they made a controversial call for the main event of the show to feature John Cena taking on authority figure John Laurinaitis. The match featured Cena humiliating Laurinaitis for 17 minutes straight. To make for entertaining viewing, it was completely wrong that this was picked to be main eventing the show. What was particularly frustrating about the match was that Laurinaitis got the win thanks to interference from the Big Show. WWE have been so reserved in allowing talent to be seen on pay-per-view, they were willing to give the honor to a non-wrestler. It's completely baffling. Number 18, Big Boss Man vs. Al Snow, Unforgiven 1999. For the 1999 Unforgiven pay-per-view, they would introduce a brand new match type called Kennel from Hell. This match incorporated a steel cage around by a Hell in a Cell, and on the outside of the ring were rabid dogs. The match, which was contested between Big Boss Man and Al Snow, was a total flop, as everything went wrong. The dogs around the ring were absolutely terrified to be out there in front of thousands of fans. They would cry, urinate, defecate, and even lay outside of the ring. Snow holds the distinction of winning the first and only Kennel from Hell match, and it's unlikely that the match will ever return. Number 17, the Bushwhackers vs. the Fabulous Bruchos at WrestleMania 5. WrestleMania 5 featured one of the lowest rated matches in the history of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. The match was between Hall of Famous The Bushwhackers and the Fabulous Bruchos. The match featured spots which were designed to be defeating and were frustrating to watch. The lack of selling on display was enough to break the illusion of pro wrestling. The match was horrendous and completely deserves the -4-star rating that Dave Meltzer awarded the match. Number 16, Steve Richards vs. Tyson Tuco, Unforgiven 2004. One of the issues with brand exclusive pay-per-view events is that WWE don't always have enough talent to stretch out a 3-hour broadcast. This was evident in 2004 when WWE presented the Unforgiven pay-per-view. During the first portion of the show, Tyson Tuco wrestled Steve Richards, which just so happened to be in drag. This embarrassment of a match lasted 6 minutes before Tuco got the win. Being a questionable match for Sunday Night Heat, never mind an event which fans were paying money to witness. Number 15, Rosie O'Donnell vs. Donald Trump, Raw, January 8, 2007. In an attempt to cash in the real-life celebrity warfare, WWE decided to book 2 celebrity impersonators in the match on Raw in 2007. A Donald Trump impersonator would take on Rosie O'Donnell impersonator. The results were great. The crowd heavily booed the horrendous action on display. Whilst this was a design to build towards Trump's involvement at WrestleMania 23, the match was an example of what the ruthless aggression audience didn't want to see. Number 14, Jackie Gator and Chris Nowinski vs. Trish Stratus and Bradshaw, Raw, July 8, 2002. Many fans would label the tag match featuring Jackie Gator and Chris Nowinski vs. Stratus and Bradshaw and most of them were the fault of Gator, who wasn't ready for a match on Raw and should have been nowhere near a WWE ring at this stage of her career. Once Stratus got the win for her team, Jim Ross on commentary would declare the match had bowling-shoe tendencies. Find the match was ugly. Number 13, Seth Rollins vs. Bray Wyatt, Hell in a Cell 2019. The most loathed Hell in a Cell match ever took place in 2019 as Seth Rollins took on Bray Wyatt. The match bizarrely ended in a no contest as the referee declared Rollins' conduct inside the cell as too far. This negatively impacted the credibility of the Hell in a Cell match type. When looking at the match was so bad that fans audibly turned on Rollins, who was WWE's top babyface at the time, agreeing on calls to turn Rollins heel.
I keep making me fucking miss, yo.
Likely that Wyatt feels the very same way. Number 12, Caitlyn vs. Maxine, NXT, October 19th, 2010. The all-female season of NXT quickly turned into a laughingstock as the quality of the in-ring action was atrocious. Eventually, WWE gave up on the season, and they had Michael Cole and Josh Matthews on commentary turn on every match by outright mocking the women competing. The match between Caitlyn and Maxine on October 19th, 2010's edition of the show was a terrible look for WWE, as it featured horrible wrestling, and even Cole on commentary calling it the worst segment he's ever been a part of. 90% of the moves were botched, and Maxine took home the win as Cole and Matthews labeled the match as horrible at ringside. Number 11, Pat Patterson vs. Gerald Briscoe, King of the Ring 2000. Whilst the duo Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe were incredibly entertaining during the Attitude Era, nobody was seeking a pay-per-view match between the two. At the 2000 King of the Ring event, the two collided in an evening out match for the Hardcore title. This match was the last full-length match of both of their respective careers, and it was a terrible way to go out. The two legends wore women's clothing and proceeded to perform dreadful spots for 3 whole minutes. The only highlight came when Crash Holly hijacked the match and walked out with the hardcore title due to the 24/7 rule being in full effect. Number 10, Lars Sullivan vs. Lucha House Party Super Showdown 2019. During WWE's attempt to make Lars Sullivan the next top of the company, they decided to have him face all members of the Lucha House Party at the Super Showdown event in 2019. This match was designed to showcase Sullivan in the best manner, but he wasn't exactly Shawn Michaels in the ring, so the match quickly fell apart. In one of the strangest booking moves in recent memory, they decided to have the villainous Sullivan get the win via DQ. How they were supposed to make Sullivan look legit is anyone's guess. Number 9, Tyson Fury vs. Braun Strowman, Crown Jewel 2019. WWE securing Tyson Fury for a match in 2019 was a huge deal. Fury was one of the biggest names in sport, and now all eyes were on WWE. He would face Braun Strowman at the Crown Jewel event, and the match was heavily panned. Strowman wasn't experienced enough to carry Fury to a decent match, and Fury was insanely sloppy in the ring. The match came to a close when Fury won by a countout, which led to one of the most disappointing celebrity versus wrestler matches in WWE history. Number 8, Ariel and Kevin Thorne vs. Kelly Kelly and Mike Knox, December to December 2006. The WWE's attempted relaunch of ECW in 2006 didn't exactly go to plan, and the ECW exclusive pay-per-view titled December to December was a complete and utter flop. The show itself featured one of the worst received WWE matches of all time, as Kelly Kelly teamed with Mike Knox to take on Kevin Thorne and Ariel. The in-ring action between Thorne and Knox was fine, but when Kelly and Ariel collided, it was an utter train wreck. It was truly amateur hour for the ECW brand, and the poor quality on offer was even openly mocked by Joey Styles and Taz on commentary. Number 7, Bayley vs. Alexa Bliss, Extreme Rules 2017. WWE failed to understand how to book Bayley as a babyface on the main roster. This came full circle at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view in 2017. Bayley would wrestle Alexa Bliss in a kendo stick on a pole match, and the match is arguably one of the worst matches of the modern era. The entire match revolved around Bayley's reluctance to use the kendo stick, and it absolutely sucked the life out of the arena. Fans hated the match as it completely killed any credibility Bayley had as a compelling character. Bliss would eventually get the win, but following the match, it was hard for WWE to rebuild Bayley as someone that the fans should even care about. Number 6, Goldust vs. the Ultimate Warrior in your House 7. Vince McMahon hoped that bringing back the Ultimate Warrior in '96 would see fans come back to the WWE product. It did nothing remotely positive for the company. Warrior's horrible match with Goldust at the In Your House 7 was a great showcase of why Warrior in WWE wasn't working. The match began with Goldust being chased out of the ring by Warrior, and Goldust proceeded to stall for several minutes. Warrior then took possession of Goldust's rope and the director's chair, which prompted Goldust to enter the ring to retrieve his items. In a bizarre scene, Goldust would then put on his rope, sit in his chair, and present his hand for Warrior to kiss. Warrior would then burn Goldust's hand with a cigar and clothesline him out of the ring. Goldust then led the scene and was counted out. This wasn't a match that belonged on pay-per-view, and it was an utter disrespect that WWE believed that fans should have had to pay to witness this abysmal effort. Number 5, Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal, WrestleMania 25. On paper, the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal at WrestleMania 25 was a great idea. It would allow WWE to showcase women of the past, present, and future, but in reality, it exposed how little WWE cared about their women's division. All of the women in the match came down to the ring as a collective unit, meaning nobody could tell who was in the match. The match featured the likes of Sunny, Tori Wilson, and Molly Holly, and it was impossible to spot them unless the commentary team referenced them. The match was eventually won by Santina Marella in drag, using the name Santina. Unfortunately, WWE had more interest in obtaining cheap laughs instead of delivering something special for the women's division, and all the women involved deserve better. Hopefully one day they'll redo this match, but this time give the women the respect they truly deserve. Number 4, John Cena vs. Michael Cole on Raw June 4th, 2012. The June 4th, 2012 edition of Raw featured a main event pitting John Cena against commentator Michael Cole. This horrible matchup featured cringe-worthy comedy that was an insult to the viewers watching at home. The match featured Cena embarrassing Cole as much as possible and doing things such as stripping Cole down to his underwear and pouring JR's barbecue sauce all over him. Yeah, nice plug. The match was booked with an intention of making Vince McMahon laugh, as a lot of the spots in the match incorporated McMahon's questionable humor, but the audience weren't laughing. The only thing that they were doing was reaching for the remote. Number 3, Tori vs. Sable, WrestleMania 15. Sable was never the best in-ring worker in the world, and the match at WrestleMania 15 was evidence of this. Sable collided with Tori for the women's title in one of the worst matches of the Attitude Era. Sable went through the 5 minutes with a clear reluctance to take any bumps whatsoever, and Tori barely had any experience in the ring, so it was a recipe for complete disaster. Michael Cole on commentary would address how Tori handled the experience, but this wasn't justified when the match was taking place. Sable managed to get the win thanks to the Sable Bomb, which was without question a low point in the history of the women's title. Number 2, Goldberg vs. The Undertaker, Super Showdown 2019. At one point in time, Goldberg vs. The Undertaker was a dream match. But by the time WWE booked the match in 2019, both men had retirement on the horizon. The match took place at the Super Showdown event and would eventually become one of the most criticized and ridiculed matches in pro wrestling history. The match featured too many botches to count and even featured the dead man being dropped on his head. It was an utter miracle that both men didn't come out of the match with serious life-threatening injuries. The match was going so poorly that it looked like the dead man called an audible and decided to perform a chokeslam to end the match early. In the months that followed, both men would respond publicly to the negative feedback to the match. Both would address how the match wasn't exactly their finest outing. Talk about obvious. And number 1, Jerry the King Lawler vs. Michael Cole at WrestleMania 27. Heading into WrestleMania 27, fans had low expectations for Jerry the King Lawler vs. Michael Cole. Any excitement was coming from the fact that Stone Cold Steve Austin was acting as the guest referee for the match, but this failed to generate any substantial buzz. The match itself was a total disaster, and it had no place being on a WrestleMania card, and the fact that WWE devoted over 13 minutes to the match was a complete spit in the face to the talent who were booked on the show. The match was and remains universally hated by fans, and even Vince McMahon himself detested the match and labeled the match as the worst thing he's ever seen. Even stranger about the match was that it had an inconclusive finish, as Cole won by DQ. This led to the feud continuing for several unbearable months following WrestleMania 27. But there you have it, folks. The top 15 worst matches in WWE history. Be sure to leave your comments below on what you guys think the worst matches are, and whether you agree with the list. And as always, I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.
That's George Karlaftis, who fought his way through the line to bury him. The final shot before the break for Herbert. And that went too far in front. He couldn't.
Typical beginner's mistake. Yes, they all start from the outside. So, will he help him? What else? Here, try it with Red Bull. Red Bull gives you
in order to pick up the yardage needed.
Biggest wrestling company in the world, World Wrestling Entertainment produces hundreds of televised matches per year and have tens of thousands of them either readily available via the WWE Network, YouTube, and home media releases, with a great many more stored away in their vault until they're ready, or in some cases not ready, to see the light of day. Fire up the network now and you will be spoiled for choice when it comes to what matches, or full shows you're able to watch at your leisure. And while every match has its merits, I suppose, if you're a WWE fan, hell, even if you're not a WWE fan in some cases, there are some matches that you should watch at least once. Looking back through the decades, we here at Cultaholic Wrestling have chosen 101 matches that are either brilliant, fun, historic, controversial, business-changing, or otherwise stand out as significant in some form or fashion. Perhaps they just tell a brilliant story and made us, as fans, feel something more than other matches. Now, it is important to state right from the jump that this is not the 101 best WWE matches ever, and they're not ranked in any particular order. This is more like a smorgasbord of superior sports entertainment for you to snack on, and then invariably shout at the only internet about. If you are a long-term WWE superfan and you're currently watching a Cultaholic Wrestling YouTube video, so the odds of that are fairly high, then you
you may have seen some, most, or even all of the matches included here. You know what? We might just surprise you. I'm Adam Pachisi from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 101 WWE matches everyone should watch at least once. Join us. But before we start, today's video is sponsored by NordVPN. We at Cultaholic truly believe that Nord is the best service of its kind. Firstly, it's super easy to use. Connect with one click or enable auto-connect for zero-click protection. There are over 5,300 servers in 60 different countries, which is a hell of a lot. It has amazing speed, confirmed by the speed tests. NordVPN is the fastest service out there, and it's on every major platform. So here's how I use Nord. Obviously, I live in the United Kingdom, but with NordVPN, I can set myself to be anywhere in the world virtually and access content from those regions. So if I can set myself to be somewhere in the world virtually and sign up for a certain sports entertainment network for a fraction of the price. Or if I happen to live in the United States, I can sign up for that sports entertainment network, even though it doesn't probably exist as it did in the United States before. Oh, and it works on lots of other on-demand services too. Nord costs the equivalent of a cup of fancy coffee every month, a small price to pay for complete peace of mind when it comes to cybersecurity and access to a whole range of entertaining content. Also, there's even a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if Nord isn't for you, you can get your money back, no bother at all. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/cultaholic, the link's in the description below, to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan, plus an additional 4 months for free. And remember, it's completely risk-free with me.
I know, but that's what I need.
Thanks for watching, enjoy the video. Number 101, Bret Hart versus the 1-2-3 Kid on Raw. Back in 1994, it was practically unheard of to see a long WWE title match on free television, especially one between two babyfaces. Bret Hart and the 1-2-3 Kid had one of the best televised matches in WWE history to kick off the July 11th, 1994 episode of the company's flagship show, the two telling a simple yet compelling story of the Kid valiantly trying to stay in the hunt and cause a huge upset against the Hitman, despite being outmatched when it came to size, experience, and technique. The work was exceptional, the crowd were well into it, and by the end, you genuinely believed that the impossible might just happen. It wasn't the Kid's night on this night, but losing this match did more for him in his career than winning 10 or 20 other matches would have done. Perhaps the first truly great match in Raw's history, it still holds up and, in fact, somehow feels even more remarkable close to 30 years later. Number 100, Brock Lesnar versus John Cena at Extreme Rules 2012. Brock Lesnar's first WWE match in 8 years was unlike anything fans had seen before. The next big thing was hot off his record-breaking UFC run and brought a heightened sense of realism that certainly jarred next to WWE's hand-picked PG poster boy, John Cena. This Extreme Rules scrap from 2012's namesake pay-per-view was brutal, with Brock dismantling Cena in variously grisly but entertaining ways. You know when people talk about when a car crash happens in front of you, and even though you shouldn't watch, you can't bring yourself to look away? Yeah, that. Fans have argued about the results since it happened, but if you're going into the match cold and without context for what was going on at the time, you will no doubt get sucked into the drama of it all. Plus, it's not every day you see two stars of this magnitude go at it as ferociously as these two did on this particular night. Number 99, DX and the Radicals versus The Rock, Cactus Jack, Too Cool and Rikishi on Raw. In professional wrestling, a crowd can really help make a match. A hot crowd can make a so-so bout seem like a decent one, a decent bout feel like a great one, and a great one feel like an all-timer. There aren't many crowds in WWE history as hot as the one on hand in Dallas.
That's when I was taking you for a joke. You ain't no joke no more.
That night made the show's main event seem even better than it was.
I just went to an overtime game with you,
regardless. During this time, WWE were firing on all cylinders, and everyone in the match was either over or on their way to getting getting over.
You
The
about to
crowd
score
were
me
on
last
fire
drive. It
for
wasn't for this.
everything, and the match itself
Show
was
me.
really fun. Capped off with a frenetic
Man, that was a
post-match
touchdown,
scene that is
'cause you
worth
had me.
sticking around for.
X was
Number
over.
98, The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25. Two of the greatest performers in the history of WrestleMania finally collided on the big stage in 2009, producing an instant classic that is regarded as one of the best matches, not only in the history of the granddaddy of them all, but in WWE history itself. By this point, the Dead Man and the Heartbreak Kid were battle-hardened veterans who knew exactly how to manipulate the audience's emotions.
You got 34 fucking seconds to make a play. I just told you what I was trying to do.
Stage of them all pretty much guaranteed that they would produce something extra special. Two well-defined characters giving it their all at the biggest show of the year with major stakes, the streak on the line. What is not to love? With no title at stake, the streak was the story, and Michaels and Taker skillfully played with the crowd's expectations, with one unplanned moment when the Phenom landed on his head from an over-the-top rope dive, adding some genuine urgency. WWE's only mistake was not having this match close the show.
Running beside him, nigga, block him, the fuck?
Could possibly follow it. Number 97, Shane McMahon versus Mr. McMahon at WrestleMania X7. WrestleMania is as much about pomp and pageantry and sports entertainment as it is about, well, you know, actual wrestling. And who gets sports entertainment more than the McMahon family themselves? Their psychodrama played out wonderfully at WrestleMania X7 as Father Vince battled son Shane in a street fight with plenty of extras, including Mick Foley as the special guest ref, and a mid-match catfight between Trish Stratus and Stephanie McMahon after Trish got her sweet revenge on the genetic jackhammer. Speaking of revenge, any time the simple act of someone standing up from a chair can make 67,000 odd people lose their minds, you know you've done something right. There were a few McMahon versus McMahon matches, or matches that involved McMahon infighting, but this is the peak, as everything paid off just at the right moment. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't meant to be, but it did everything it was supposed to. And if you can't enjoy watching Vince McMahon get a trash can kicked into his face, then there's something wrong with you. Number 96, the Hardy Boys versus the Dudley Boys versus Edge and Christian at SummerSlam 2000. Before these three teams came along and changed the game, tag team wrestling was low priority stuff as far as those behind the scenes in WWE were concerned. And boy, how Edge and Christian, the Hardys and the Dudleys changed all of that. A spectacular stunt show that really set a dangerous precedent going forward. This was six guys going out and doing everything in their power to steal the show. They previously made magic at WrestleMania 2000 with a triangle ladder match, but upped the ante here by adding tables and chairs into the mix too. Even watching it over 2 decades later, with everything that's happened in the wrestling business since, it takes your breath away due to the creativity, inventiveness, and sheer danger on display. Even non-fans would be hard-pressed not to be taken aback by what they were seeing in real time, with no second takes and no Hollywood crash pads to cushion anyone's fall. Number 95, Steve Austin versus Dude Love at Over the Edge 1998. The rise and eventual coronation of Stone Cold Steve Austin was a sight to behold as the Texas Rattlesnake took the industry by storm en route to winning his first WWE title in the main event of WrestleMania 14. His first major feud was against Mick Foley's alter ego, Dude Love, though really it had just as much, if not more, to do with his bitter rivalry with Mr. McMahon. Austin and Love headlined the Over the Edge pay-per-view, giving us a far more enjoyable sequel to their Unforgiven effort the month prior. What sets this apart was not just the increased quality of the action, but also the added sizzle of having Falls Count Anywhere stipulations, McMahon as a guest referee, Stooges Gerald Briscoe and Pat Patterson as guest timekeeper and guest ring announcer respectively, as well as The Undertaker stationed as guest ringside enforcer. Ridiculously fun stuff, with everyone playing their parts perfectly. This really is the best that the much-vaunted Attitude Era had to offer. Number 94, Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit versus Edge and Rey Mysterio at No Mercy 2002. 2002 saw WWE introduce their brand split in a bid to essentially create competition within the company. One of the positive consequences of the split initially was the formation of the so-called SmackDown 6, who helped make the Blue brand the must-watch show for fans who favoured
superior wrestling. 4 of the 6 were at their very best at No Mercy, where they clashed in a tournament final to crown the first SmackDown exclusive tag team champions. The quartet of young and hungry athletes vying to establish themselves as stars let it all hang out with a barn burner that stood as WWE's best match of the year, at least as far as pure in-ring work goes. What makes it so enjoyable is the melding of styles, with Ray's lucha offense contrasting nicely with the amateur exploits of Angle and Benoit's full-throttle, ultra-intense approach, while Edge played the fiery babyface to a T. Still one of the best tag matches in WWE history, and a look at 4 tremendous pros at the peak of their powers. Number 93, Paul Orndorff versus Hulk Hogan at the big event. Wrestling is, arguably, at its best when it's at its simplest. Good, bad, black, white, hero, villain. There weren't exactly too many shades of grey in the 1980s when the red and yellow of Hulkamania reigned supreme, and Hulk Hogan, under the watchful eye of Vince McMahon, transformed the business into a pop culture phenomenon. Like all good protagonists, the Hulkster needed an effective antagonist, or series of them, to go up against, with one of his most effective adversaries coming in the form of Paul Orndorff, who had been teaming with Hogan before growing jealous of his success and turning on him. Hulk and Mr. Wonderful were a huge box office attraction whenever they went up against one another, with their match at the big event, a non-pay-per-view show that attracted over 60,000 fans to Toronto's Exhibition Stadium, being one of the key battles in their feud. They didn't do anything fancy, sticking to a formula that they knew worked, but the massive crowd ate it and the ringside theatrics of Bobby the Brain Heenan up with a spoon, leading to months of sellouts around the country. Number 92, Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks at WrestleMania 37. Female performers first received the opportunity to main event WrestleMania in 2019, with Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair colliding in a winner-takes-all triple threat match with both the Raw and SmackDown women's titles on the line. The match was no doubt historic and worth a watch, even if it doesn't appear on this list, but it pales in comparison to the awesome Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair bout from 2 years later. Closing out night 1, the Boss and the EST of WWE had the first singles women's WrestleMania main event, which was also historic because it was the first time African-American women had been in the picture. Not only that, but the first night of WrestleMania 37 was the first time WWE had performed in front of a paying audience in over a year due to the global pandemic. You could see the emotion written over both competitors' faces as they knew that they were about to tear the house down in extraordinary circumstances, which they did, and then some. Number 91, The Shield versus Cody Rhodes and Goldust at Battleground 2013. At its core, professional wrestling is about and thrives off emotion. It's the matches that make us feel something above all others that keep us hooked, with effective storylines and stipulations helping significantly in this respect. One of the big go-to pro wrestling tropes in Austin versus McMahon helps the company reach the stock market is the everyman versus authority angle. It has been deployed often and to decidedly mixed results, with one of its best uses coming in 2013 as the Rhodes family waged war with the authority. It all led to Battleground, where Cody and Goldust took on the Shield's Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, with their and their father Dusty's jobs on the line. The match itself was nothing groundbreaking in terms of the dynamics at play or the structure, but everyone worked it expertly, with the crowd responding to the escalating drama as they passionately cheered on the Rhodes boys. And it's all built to one of the best feel-good moments in recent memory. Number 90, Triple H versus Cactus Jack at Royal Rumble 2000. And now we hit our second of Foley's 3 faces, as Cactus Jack was brought back for St. Nick's exceptional send-off feud with Triple H. The game had established himself as one of the top guys in the industry, but he was yet to have a genuinely classic match, one other of the main eventers club. But that all changed with his WWE title street fight against Cactus at the 2000 Royal Rumble. Foley himself felt the need to prove himself all over again after his performances had diminished in quality over the previous previous months due to a laundry list of debilitating injuries. He and Hunter captivated an infused Madison Square Garden crowd on the night with a match that enhanced Foley's legacy while establishing Triple H as the man, kicking off a banner year for the Cerebral Assassin. It's not for the squeamish mind, with Foley taking a sickening face-first bump into a pile of thumbtacks for the finish, but they didn't overdo it either, the violence and blood fitting with the storyline, setting, and stakes. Number 89, Adrian Adonis and Dick Murdoch versus the Briscoe brothers in MSG. One legendary tag team that really doesn't get its due these days, no thanks to you damn pesky millennials, is the team of Adrian Adonis and Dick Murdoch. The North-South connection were former WWE Tag Team Champions and had many memorable bouts in both Japan and WWE, including this one against Jack and Jerry Briscoe in the final days of 1984. A tale of real contrasts. The Briscoe brothers were technically sound, providing good guys, while the champs were brawling, rule-breaker scumbags. The team's meshed brilliantly in a near half-hour blinder that requires patience, but is so worth the investment. Dirty Dick in particular is on another level here with his facial expressions, wild bumping, and overall shenanigans as he and adorable Adrian put on a great show opposite the understated former NWA standouts. There's great wrestling, brawling, character work, and a structure and pace different to just about any other tag match that you're bound to see. The MSG crowd showed their appreciation for the four pros, realizing that they were watching something special, even if the double count-out finish is a little anticlimactic. Number 88, Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect in SummerSlam 1991.
I thought he caught it at first.
Unslightly attended here when you see a star born right before your very eyes. Not that Bret Hart wasn't a star yet, but he was in the middle of trying to establish himself as a singles performer after many successful years tagging with Jim Neidhart as the Hart Foundation. Booked against Kurt Mr. Perfect Hennig for the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam 1991, the excellence of execution announced himself in the world's most famous arena, capturing his first major singles title in a textbook wrestling match. Not only was Hennig unselfish in letting the Hitman kick out of his perfect plex finisher, the very fact that Kurt even made it to the ring that night is something of a miracle, as his back was wrecked and he would in fact take 15 months off to recover immediately after. It was a star-making performance from Bret, who would go from strength to strength over the course of the next year or so on his way to winning the big one. Number 87, Sergeant Slaughter versus the Iron Sheik in MSG. To a newer generation of WWE fans, Sergeant Slaughter and the Iron Sheik are two figures to poke fun at, anachronistic representations of a cartoonish bygone era who some feel look silly living the gimmick many moons later. Well, let me tell you right now, appearances can be deceiving, and there was nothing cartoonish or silly about the bloody boot camp match the two men had in MSG on June 16th, 1984. This was a war. Not so much a wrestling match as a wild and bloody fight to the death. Sheik and Sarge blew off their legendary feud, American Super Patriot versus Evil Foreign Menace works every time, in epic style. Anyone who thinks of Sheiky Baby as a make-believe Twitter jokester or sees Sarge who comes up beaten up by the Rusev of the world, they want to educate themselves on what special talents they were in their heyday. And this match would be the place to start. Number 86, The Rock versus Mankind on Raw. And now we get to the third of Foley's three faces, with his maiden WWE title win as Mankind on the January 4th, 1999 episode of Raw. It was a significant day not only in Foley's career, but in the Monday Night War between WWE and WCW. Raw was pre-taped that night as opposed to the live Nitro.
There's no way he got
doing their best to put a dampener on Foley's big moments by having commentator Tony Schiavone spoil the results, sarcastically adding that him being champ ought to put a lot of butts in seats. It was Foley and WWE who had the last laugh, though, as hundreds of thousands of people changed the channel in order to see the switch. And what a moment it was! The match itself wasn't anything to necessarily write home about, but people fondly remember it for Foley getting his much-deserved win, the brawl between DX and the Corporation, and the earth-shattering pop Stone Cold Steve Austin received for his entrance and assist. Number 85, The Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Savage at WrestleMania 7. One of the big things that attracts people to professional wrestling and WWE specifically is the larger-than-life characters that populate its roster. And do they come much larger than life than the Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage? I mean, holy Technicolor Dreamcoat, man. Jim Hellwig wasn't noted for his in-ring savvy and rarely had what we would call a great match, but the meticulous macho man who was a stickler for details and planned his matches out very carefully came to perhaps his best ever in-ring showing. Warrior and Savage met at WrestleMania 7 in a retirement match. With Randy leading the way and mapping out a roller coaster ride of emotions, Warrior was able to go far longer and dig a lot deeper than he was usually required to. This was a shining example of what WWE does best, with two well-defined and colourful personalities having a classic match at WWE's signature events. The post-match theatrics with Queen Sherry and Miss Elizabeth put a beautiful bow on it after all was said and done. Number 84.
I said, why jail though?
Fantastic.
Yeah, you know I
VLC at Extreme Rules 2014. Now this right here is what in wrestling is usually dubbed an attraction. VLC was TLC, but that's right.
I waited till I got out for that.
People, namely Hornswoggle and El Dorado. Despite being shunted onto the Extreme Rules 2014 pre-show, WWE spared no expense when it came to presenting this incredibly unique match, bringing out a scaled-down ring announcer, referee, and commentators, VBL, Micro Cole and Jerry Smaller, thank you very much, as well as providing mini weapons. Much of it was played for laughs, but the two men in the match, as well as Los Matadores and three of the at ringside, put in one hell of a shift. And the crowd was really into it too, reacting strongly to the main and popping in all the right places. The so-called midget match used to be a staple of WWE back in the day, but Hornswoggle went above and beyond a chance to have an updated one of their own. Thankfully, it wasn't referred to as a midget match anymore. Truly, I've really never seen anything quite like it. Number 83, Lita versus Trish Stratus on Raw. Over a decade before the women's revolution changed the lay of the land in WWE as far as the opportunities that the company's female performers were offered, two Hall of Famers were doing everything in their power to change perceptions. Lita and Trish Stratus were part of a group along with the likes of Jazz, Victoria, and Molly Holly, who were trying to re-educate fans following years of the women primarily being used for bikini contests and bra and panties matches. Given the very rare chance to main event an episode of Raw, the two Trailblazers didn't waste a second of the time allotted to them and constructed a very hard-fought contest that helped inspire future generations, including Charlotte Flair, who was watching from the front row. There were thrills, spills, like Lita almost re-breaking her neck on a tope, and a thrilling closing stretch that saw the flame-haired risk-taker bag the gold over a year after coming back from reconstructive neck surgery. Number 82, Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton versus Batista at WrestleMania 30. Vince McMahon's original plan had come to fruition. The main event of WrestleMania 30 would have seen returning Hollywood hero Dave Batista capture the WWE World Heavyweight title by beating fellow developmental success